Hey Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Bukhar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that teach us His word, and Shalom unto the hopeful elect upon the four corners of this earth. Let's try to make it up out of here in truth and sincerity. So, this lesson that I wanted to bring out is going to be about staying inclined with these prophecies, making sure that you're staying occupied with these prophecies, making sure that you're constantly staying in tune with the news, because that's one of our duties as of being prophets. We got to make sure that we're watching. There's constantly prophecies going on in the news, especially lately. You got the sedition among men, referring to the Capitol, the Capitol building protests. You got the more about the sedition among men with the plans on armed protests going on all 50 state capitals, and on inauguration day. You got a kingdom divided against itself with these Trump supporters, which have been in the news heavy. But you got the kingdom divided against itself with these Trump supporters and the army. You got rumors of wars referring to America and Iran. Is just constant stuff in the news that's coming out, that if you're not staying inclined with the news, then you won't know what's going on. So I want to start this off by getting Mark chapter 13, verse 33. It says, "Take ye heed, watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is." So it's saying, take ye heed, watch and pray. We don't know when the time is. We don't know when the Lord Yahweh is going to come back. So we got to make sure that we're constantly watching, so that we know what time it is. We know how close we are to salvation. We know what's going on. We ain't gonna know what's going on if we're not staying inclined with the news, if we're not watching the news, if we're not staying in tune. We got to make sure that we're constantly staying occupied with these prophecies, because we can't call ourselves a prophet and we're not staying in tune with prophecy. We gotta make something that I've been doing is I've been trying to make sure I take out time to check out things on the news. It don't have to be a full blown study session with RT News, but you can check up on stuff. You can just it's so much stuff that's been coming out lately, to where you can't miss it at this point. We gotta make sure we're staying inclined with the news, so that we know what's going on, so that we can prophesy. And again, you can't call yourself a prophet and you're not staying in tune with prophecy. So here's like I dropped the. Here we go. It says, For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house, and gave authority to his servants, and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. So you don't want to be that porter that's watching, and the owner of that house comes back and he sees you slacking off, or he sees you sleeping, he sees you doing something else. No, your duty, your job was to make sure that house was secure. Your duty and job was to make sure that you were looking out for that house. If you're a security guard, you don't want to be that security guard that's watching over a maximum. Let's say it's a maximum security prison, and you're the one guard on duty. You want to make sure that you're staying very occupied with your job. You don't want to slack off, or major consequences could happen. You don't want to be the security guard of a building, and you're slacking off, and then that building gets broken into. Then that's going to be your fault. That ain't going to be nobody but your fault. You want to be a security guard that's constantly staying occupied with their job, constantly making sure that they're doing their job rightly. And that's what we need to do with this truth. That's what we need to do with these prophecies. Make sure that we're constantly occupying ourselves with them. So it says, "And what I say unto you all, what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch." So This scripture right here is emphasizing us to watch, is emphasizing that point very hard, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be watching. We gotta watch the times. We're supposed to read, watch, and pray. Watching is in that. So here I want to get 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 15. It says, "Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." So we study these scriptures. We study these scriptures to see what prophecies are gonna come to pass. We're supposed to study this news. We're supposed to study what's going on globally, so that we can see what's coming to pass. What prophecies that we read upon are happening. We're supposed to study the scriptures, but we're also supposed to be studying these prophecies as well. And that's the only way we can rightly divide the word of truth. How are you supposed to teach someone something if you aren't gaining knowledge on the subject? You want to make sure that you're gaining knowledge so that you can teach someone. That's how every teacher ever had to gain knowledge about what they learned before they taught it. We can't call ourselves prophets and we're not staying in tune with the prophecies. We're not going to know what to prophesy about. There's so much that you can make lessons about, so much that you can talk about on the highways regarding prophecy, and you wouldn't never know what to talk about if you're not staying in tune with the prophecies. You got to make sure that you're constantly staying on top of it, so that you can rightly divide this word of truth. You want to make sure that you're constantly making sure that you know about what's going on 100%. You want to make sure that you know what's going on at a very high level, because like it says at the end of this verse, it says rightly dividing the word of truth. You want to make sure that you're bringing out when you prophesy about things, when you talk about things that's going on in the news. You want to make sure that you know what you're talking about 100%. That means that you got to study about it. That means that you gotta stay inclined with the news. That you gotta stay inclined with what's going on around you. You got to keep your eyes peeled. And nobody should have to tell you to do that, because again, that's our job. That's our duty. As a matter of fact, here I'll get a Proverbs chapter 6 verse 6. It says, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways, be wise." So it's saying to observe an ant and watch how an ant operates. So it's saying, "Which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provided her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest." So it's saying that ant goes out, and the ants go out and get food that's many times their body weight. They get large hauls of food, and they haul it all the way back to their nest. And you look inside an anthill, and it has thousands upon thousands of ants inside that anthill. So all of those ants, they know their duty. They know what they're supposed to be doing. What's their duty? Their duty is to go out and get that food. That ant will take that long walk, that long journey to find something, and once they find it, they take a piece and they bring it back. That's why you see ants all covered up over food. They're taking those pieces to bring it back to wherever their central point is. And they don't need someone to tell them to do that. They know what their duty is. They know what they're supposed to be doing. We know what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be feeding the flock, and we're supposed to be reading, watching, and praying. And what's included in that, again, is watching. We got to make sure that we're constantly watching, so that we know what's going on. We know what our duty is, and our job now is to execute. Our job now is to make sure that we're doing it concisely, that we're doing it accurately. And we're not going to do that if we're not staying occupied with prophecy. If we're not going to do that if we're not constantly staying up in the news. Again, like I said in the previous lesson, this truth is our lifestyle. So this isn't a hobby. It's not you can every once a week check what's going on in the news and off and on with this prophecy. No, our title in this truth are prophets. That's what we are. So as prophets, we got to make sure that being knowledgeable with prophecy. You know, so we gotta make sure that we're reading upon it, gathering knowledge from it in the scriptures, and we gotta make sure that we're constantly watching it in the news. You know, as prophets, that's our job. That's what we gotta make sure that we're constantly doing at all times. You know, we know what our duty is. It's time to carry it out. So, hey, with that being said, once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Bachar, Kadash, and hey, Shalom.